What's up, motherfuckers? This preamble before I play my retarded theme music is going to be spoiler free. Deadpool and Wolverine, the third Deadpool movie. I like to call it Deadpool 3. So I'm not an asshole. It's worth seeing in the theater. That's the bottom line. Bottom line is it's worth checking out. Go see it. If you liked the first two Deadpool movies, I can almost guarantee that you're going to enjoy this one. It's not, at least in my humble opinion, it's not as good as part two. It still explores some of the same themes. So there's some consistency there, but I don't believe it does it as well. I'll get into that once I start hitting the spoilers. It's definitely better than any superhero films released over the past 3 or 4 years. They got Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine. He's definitely working very hard. You got to give it to Hugh Jackman in this film. He's busting his ass to entertain you people. I think they've earned your money, so go see this movie. Now I'm going to complain about Deadpool and Wolverine. So here comes my retarded theme music and spoilers after that.
I think the people who made this movie ought to be ashamed of themselves, and that's what I think, Gene.
No.
Once again, hello. What is good, bitches? I am your man, the critical crackhead, because drinking is for pussies, which I say as I open a beer. So not only am I a crackhead who does hard drugs every day, but I'm also a hypocrite. Fuck, I'm gay too. Shit. I'm just drinking to wash the taste of the mushrooms out of my mouth. Those things taste terrible, even when they're covered in chocolate, like mine were earlier. Anyway, I did mushrooms because I'm here to talk shit about this piece of shit movie that I watched called Deadpool and Wolverine. Great value. Sinead O'Connor is the bad guy. Everybody, fucking bald lady. Like, this movie was written by Pope John Paul II. Like, what the fuck? By the way, Marvel, nice job getting me to fap to a bald chick again. It's been a minute since I've done that. Do I have a chemo fetish? Is it possible that I do? Yes, it is. I have a hard time actually deciding if the bad guy lady was hot or not. Like, some of the scenes I saw, I thought, like, okay, I can work with this. Like, start unzipping my pants, and then there were other scenes that not as much. She gets down to this like weird mummy kind of tank top. It looks like, what do you call it? On the mummies, like the fucking bandages or whatever. It's like a t-shirt, but like extra. Like, why do they have to go above and beyond? You can't just wear like a normal tank top. Anyway, she wears this weird mummy tank top thing, and I'm like zipping my pants right back up. This chick has like an extra 8 kilometers of clavicle. She's like 65% collarbone. It's like they found the fucking skinniest white lady that also had no hair in the whole fucking planet. Like, come on, guys, y'all. Shit, you didn't want there to be anything soft about this woman, did you? It's terrible. She felt overpowered too. Like, it felt like her powers, like, oh, she's supposed to be like the female version of Charles Xavier, except she can do like 20 fucking things that he can't do. And I felt like she was a little generic, and her motivation was kind of weak. She just sort of, like, by the end of it, she's sort of like, hey, I want to destroy all the universes, like Thanos or something. By the end of Endgame, Thanos was like, well, I'm just gonna fucking destroy this universe, and because I'm pissed off at you guys now. And I was just like, all right, whatever. The bad guy has this powerful MacGuffin, and whatever. It's just a setup. It's all just a setup. It's all a pretense, right? Like giving my wife a massage. It's all just a pretense for what I'm really here for. Okay, you're gonna get 3.5 minutes of massage, and then there's a dick in you. Surprise! Happy birthday to me. Even though it's your birthday, the massage was the pretense for the dick in her. In case you guys didn't get that, I think you guys probably all got that. Also, let's talk about the fantastic characters from Deadpool 1 and 2 that got sidelined in this movie. Dopinder had like what, one line, and it wasn't even remotely funny. I loved that goofy fuck actually in the first two Deadpools. He was great for producing humor that wasn't like the snarky, self-aware kind of humor that Deadpool brings. Like Deadpool's going to make fun of everybody in this sort of like I'm the cool kid kind of way. And Dopinder, I think, really brought this less self-aware, less cool kid, more of like a goofball who might accidentally murder a romantic rival, uh, kind of humor. And I think that really kind of balanced out. So it wasn't just like, I'm not just laughing at Ryan Reynolds being a smarmy prick. Uh, I liked the balance, and I didn't like the fact that Dopinder was barely in this fucking movie. He was like an afterthought. And I remember his name. I got it tattooed on my lower back. That's my tramp stamp, y'all. I think he should have been more involved in this movie. He got to kill the bad guy in part two. Remember, he like fucking ran over him with the fucking car. He got to taste the thrill of murder, and it was like a real character development. I think they should have continued to develop his character. Colossus. Let's talk about Colossus. Like, yeah, he was in this movie a little bit too. I'm not even sure if he had one line. He might not have had a single fucking line. He might have just been like a CG kind of wallflower, does a quick wave at the camera or something. He was a consistently positive presence in Deadpool's life in the first two Deadpool films. He always had Deadpool's back. He was the ultimate best friend forever. And they sidelined him a little bit in the second movie to kind of make way for Cable, because they have to do these these are the comic book relationships that Deadpool had. And then Wolverine, they big sidelined Colossus when Colossus was the ultimate BFF. Like he was spitting out teeth for Deadpool to help him fight Juggernaut and shit. I gotta take a sip of beer. I'm sorry. Hang on a sec. So I really think, Colossus was emotional too. I like what they did with the Colossus character in the first two Deadpools. They made him a little bit of a Boy Scout, a little bit of a goody two shoes, but they gave him like this, I don't know, he's like a sweetheart. He's like this gentle giant. He's this big old sweetheart, and he always sees the good in people. He's that ultimate optimist, glasses half full kind of motherfucker. And that balanced out well with Deadpool 2, where Deadpool is more snarky and cynical, and he can be mean, and he he kills people, and he does shitty things. And like having Colossus was sort of like the angel on his shoulder. Colossus was the guy who was trying to reel him in and keep him on the light. And so I think that it worked well in the Deadpool films, and it's really too bad that he was sidelined and basically had nothing to do this whole movie but hold his big metal dick. Negasonic Teenage Warhead. I always feel like a racist saying Negasonic. I gotta, like, honestly, am I the first person who's like, Negasonic sounds kind of bad? Like, I feel like somebody might walk into this room and not have heard precisely what I said or not understand the context of what I'm talking about. I'm like, did you just say what I think you said? You said Negasonic? What the fuck? Negasonic Teenage Warhead. I didn't make it up. They made it up. Blame Marvel, put the racism on them. That's not in my heart. I don't hold no bigotry in my heart. Negasonic Teenage Warhead. She was pretty cool in the first movie. I liked her, even though she got kind of a racist name. Yukio is cute as well. Yukio is pretty cute for not being heterosexual. She should have been in this movie more, I think. I always like, she and Deadpool, they're very friendly with each other, and that's really her whole shtick, right? It's like, hi, Wade. She shows up, she's on set for like half a day. I don't even think she gets to eat lunch. They just send her home. So even though she's not into the ding dong, she's cute. I don't really like the pink hair, but whatever. She's cute. A nice smile. She's not into the ding dong, but who cares? Who cares? Cable and that weird pyro kid are totally MIA in this movie. I mean, at least Yukio was there to say hi, Wade, and then fuck right off. But Cable, at the end of the second movie, he's like, well, I'll stick around this timeline for a little while, like he's buddies with Deadpool now, and he's going to stick around. Only like, where is he? I don't know. The weird pyro kid, I kind of expected him to come back. He was a nice foil for Deadpool as well. It was just nice to see Deadpool have to begrudgingly take on this kind of parental or older brother kind of mentor role. And it would have been nice to see that kind of continue to develop here in this film. But they brought back Shatterstar. Shatterstar is here for some fucking reason, right? Like, I mean, after watching him get spaghettified, like liquefied by this fucking helicopter blades, which was one of the better deaths in Deadpool 2. And I laughed pretty hard when his fucking hair hit the fucking window or whatever. But he's just back. Like, I don't even think Deadpool brought him back to life at the end of the second one. I think it was just Peter, who he went back in time, he saved Peter, and he says, Peter, walk away. And I don't remember him saving Shatterstar, but whatever. So the worst one is Colossus. The worst one was Colossus, but the second worst omission, a character that got sidelined, was Deadpool's girlfriend, Vanessa, played by Monica Baccarin, I think. I think that's how you say her name. I don't know. What do you want from me? I'm having a beer. If I messed it up, I'm sorry, lady. She is pretty attractive. She's like, 45 these days. Yeah, she made the first Deadpool movie like 8 or 10 years ago when she was like mid 30s. Definitely a little bit softer and rounder back then. I'm not supposed to say this stuff out loud, but I'm doing it anyway. She was hot. They shouldn't have left her out. She barely had more screen time than Dopin during this fucking movie. And they really kind of muddled things unnecessarily with her and Deadpool's relationship. I mean, was it really necessary for her and Deadpool to be broken up? I mean, all they really need for the plot of this movie to go in the way that it went was that she and the other characters that I just mentioned are all going to be snuffed from existence when their universe goes away. Not that they even do a sufficient job of explaining why an entire universe hinges on the existence of one single anchor being. I'll circle back to that in a moment because I think that's fucking dumb as hell. But Deadpool could have just as easily been married to Vanessa with a little daughter named Cher and another kid on the way or something like that. And the jeopardy to their lives would have been sufficient motivation for Deadpool to act in exactly the same manner as he did in Deadpool and Wolverine. And you wouldn't have this weird, ambiguous thing with their relationship that goes pretty much totally unresolved. I mean, she touches his hand at the end of the movie, but that doesn't exactly say that they're like back together and enjoying life. And so I don't know. I was kind of hoping for a happy ending there. Call me a sucker for a happy ending. I don't care. I've been called worse. I think personally was that Monica, the actress Monica Baccarin, was busy or some shit, but she broke off like 2 days to go film her shit, and that way she could still have a presence in the film as a very like important foundational character that's basically been Deadpool's whole motivation since the very beginning of the first film. You can't leave her out entirely. I think it would be unwise to write her out. So it's probably better to have her in a little bit, even if the actress was busy. That's that's like my head canon. I don't know that for sure. So don't take that as gospel truth. But, you know, that's what I like to think. When the mushrooms kick in, I'm just going to assume, she had some other gig that was going on. At any rate, Deadpool wanting to be an Avenger was also pretty stupid. Uh, like his motivation to be an Avenger was because he wanted to be a part of something for the sake of his relationship with Vanessa. That's like more convoluted bullshit that really feels inconsistent with the previous Deadpool films and Deadpool's previous uh, characterization. He doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't want to be a part of the Avengers. The Avengers can suck his dick from the back. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't want to be a fucking goody two shoes with the rest of those fucking weirdos. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to do his own thing, his own way. He's fucking Deadpool. They can suck his dick. The Avengers can suck his dick. Peter Parker can suck his dick. Happy can definitely suck his dick. He's not going to go interview for a fucking job where he doesn't get to say the F word and he doesn't get to kill people, shoot him in the fucking face. It just feels very inconsistent that Deadpool would want to be a part of something when he's already got the X-Force. He's got this family that he built. The theme of Deadpool, of the Deadpool trilogy that exists so far, the overarching theme of those three films is the family that you create, the family that you build for yourself. Not necessarily the one that you're born into, your blood relatives, but these are the people that you become friends and neighbors with, the people that you live with, like Blind Al, the people that you might marry, like Vanessa, and it's the family that you build. That is the theme across all three of the films. I mean, feel free to argue with me on that point if you'd like, but that would make you pretty fucking dumb, so don't. But the X-Force is also an extension of that. Like, he has this team. He doesn't need to go lick some boot to join the Avengers. Like, please accept me. Even though I think he'd probably be a pretty good, like, a value add to the team because he knows martial arts and shit, and he's got a healing factor. And yeah, he'd probably annoy the piss out of everybody, but at the same time, he's a value add in a fight because he's essentially unkillable. So he can accomplish things that others like Hawkeye and like Black Widow, like, I don't know, could he have gone over that cliff in Endgame and still survived? Maybe, possibly. Could have been, could have saved Black Widow's ass, could have saved ScarJo's ass for later. At any rate, he built the X-Force. He doesn't need to kiss some ass to get into some fucking team he doesn't want to be a part of. He has the family that he's built with Vanessa. He's got friends like Peter and Dopinder and Colossus, even Negasonic and Yukio. I think Deadpool does view those human beings as his friends, even if Negasonic kind of hates him. I don't think she hates him. I think she likes to act like she hates him, but I think at this point in time, she knows, like, Deadpool's practically family to her. It flies in the face of the themes of these previous films that I've just talked about, that I've just mentioned, that he has to seek this external validation by being accepted into the Avengers. At best, that whole like desperately wanting to be a part of something bigger is actually foreshadowing his future within the MCU at large. Like, it's a metaphor for the MCU, Kevin Feige, people who exist in real life, like removing certain aspects of the Fox universe to like bring it into the MCU because there's certain things that work. Deadpool sells. Why not bring him into the MCU? So it could be a metaphor for that. That's how I'm viewing it, as him applying for the Avengers is kind of like him showing up at Kevin Feige's office and saying like, hey, how about, Deadpool's pretty successful. How about bring me in to the main MCU and like, give me a job there. I think at worst, that scene where he's applying to become an Avenger was unnecessary filler in what is already the longest Deadpool movie. Let me circle back to the anchor being thing. That's fucking stupid. I already said it, but I'm going to say it again so I could be on record saying it's fucking stupid. An entire universe, which I'm assuming is as large and old as our own, exists for one human being. So Deadpool's universe presumably came into being roughly 14 billion years ago, just like ours did, and contains billions of visible galaxies across 92 billion light years, all for one motherfucker. One motherfucker gets all of that shit. And that one motherfucker goes away, and all of that shit has to go away too. That makes no fucking sense. Get the fuck out of here. Logan was born in the 1800s. You're telling me a whole ass universe existed just fine without its anchor being for almost 14 billion years until the motherfucker comes into existence? They just fucking laid that fucking red carpet out for him almost 14 billion years in advance because he's going to be the fucking anchor being. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't jive with anything you expect me to believe about this bullshit. It's horse shit, and I know it's horse shit. I appreciate the anchor being as a metaphor for, you have a cinematic universe. That cinematic universe is populated by people like Toad and Mystique and even important characters like Jean Grey and Storm and Cyclops. None of those motherfuckers is as important as motherfucking Wolverine. And the Fox universe is an excellent example of that. Wolverine got his own movie 3 times in the Fox universe. How many motherfucking movies you get, Colossus? How many motherfucking movies did you get, Jean Grey? Fucking shitty ass Phoenix film. That's it. X-Men 3 was a piece of shit. I can't believe I paid money to see it in the theaters. I needed another sip. Anyway, I understand that anchor being thing is sort of like a meta kind of tongue-in-cheek recognition that like one character and or one actor sort of becomes this important thing that sort of that universe sort of kind of revolves around. Iron Man, Tony Stark, they're bringing him back for a fucking reason. It's because they fucking blowed all the dicks when he was gone. And that reeks of desperation, but that's a whole different fucking video topic for another day. What I'm going to say here is that he was the anchor being for the MCU. I mean, he was the anchor as an actor, as a character. Anyway, you see where I'm going with this anchor being thing. It sort of works as like a meta commentary on the superhero genre and how like an entire cinematic universe can start to revolve around a single character slash actor. But it really doesn't work for me like within the diegesis. It's just like, okay, so Logan's gone, and now an entire universe that's at least 92 billion years, light years in size has to fucking go bye-bye now. It makes zero sense that you would build a thing so large for one person whose lifespan is naturally going to be finite. Like, even if Logan hadn't died in fucking Logan, wouldn't he have died at some point? I mean, Wolverine lives a long time, but he does age. He got old as we see him in Logan. So theoretically, Wolverine, maybe he would have gone 300 or 400 years, but eventually he would have died of old age. And the same thing goes for any other anchor being. Even if they have a happy ending and they ride off into the sunset and they live long and prosper, they still gonna fucking die at 91 or 92 or whatever the fuck else. And then that universe is fucked. 92 billion light years of universe is fucked because one goddamn motherfucker lived an average human lifespan. I've got no words for this anchor being bullshit. Within the diegesis, I appreciate it as a meta commentary, but I don't know. Thus, I must conclude the anchor being thing is kind of retarded. Honestly, so is the whole TVA shtick. I think the whole TVA thing needs to fuck off. I'm tired of that stuff too. And I haven't even watched Loki. I'm tired of the TVA just from seeing them and the occasional commercial for Loki. Like, get the fuck out of here. I'm saying that as someone who has not seen Loki. I object to Disney Plus. That's another topic for another day. So Deadpool and Wolverine is obviously doing phenomenally at the box office. They're making a ton of money. So I'm actually convinced it's going to be the #1 film of the year, box office wise. However, I think that's an excellent short-term win for the MCU and for comic book movies as a genre, because it's a good infusion of cash for the MCU. It proves that there's still some life in comic book movies. People will still show up in droves for certain comic book movies, but I don't think it's going to help the MCU in the long run. They still have to figure out how to make more X-Men movies within the 616 universe, the main MCU timeline, so that the X-Men can interact with the Avengers characters that we know and love. I think grandfathering in Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Kelsey Grammer's Beast, it's really not doing them any favors. It's really just setting an expectation that those old X-Men characters and actors that we once knew are going to be the new MCU X-Men, and it's really going to take away. Not that I think the MCU is going to be dumb enough to do take a third crack at the Dark Phoenix storyline, but maybe. And they're going to want to do some of these classic X-Men storylines. Otherwise, they wasted money buying these properties back from Fox, right? I think it's really just going to mire the MCU in the history of those Fox X-Men franchises by making it essentially canon. I want to see Deadpool and Wolverine together again, fucking shit up, interacting with the Avengers and shit. I want that, but ultimately, I think it's going to be confusing for viewers, especially more casual viewers like my wife, especially future viewers like my kids who have not gone around to watching it yet. But eventually, they will be old enough, and they're going to say, "What the fuck is all of this shit, Dad? Why are you making me watch this?" Circling back to the topic of this being the longest Deadpool movie, I would go so far as to say it's overlong. It's 20 minutes longer than the first Deadpool and 10 minutes longer than the second. This is coincidentally, at the same time, the least emotionally resonant Deadpool film, as I said before. I say that because while I found Hugh Jackman to be very compelling in his performance, this is a Deadpool film. The first and second films had such a sweet and heartfelt core to them, especially Deadpool 2, that I felt like Deadpool and Wolverine kind of glossed over that. Now that Deadpool has assembled this family for himself, their only real purpose now is to be this figurative damsel in distress that Deadpool has to save. That means that Deadpool 3 has more violence and comedy than the other ones too, which again, the action in Deadpool 3 is very well done. I've just never really found myself drawn to Deadpool films for the action spectacle. I mean, if I just want to watch action, I mean, I'll pop in like Ong Bak or something where it's like you're watching that for the action spectacle. With the Deadpool, I'm always kind of drawn into it because he is this sort of irreverent character that also has a heart. And by the end of the film, you know, you get to see these kind of layers to that. So it's kind of the most hollow Deadpool film, which is a little bit of a letdown for me after the investment I felt with Deadpool 2. All of that being said, I do credit this film with providing an ingenious way to get additional value out of all of these disparate properties now owned by the Disney Marvel machine. You know, before it's like Ghost Rider was over here, Blade was over there, Wolverine and the X-Men were over here in this other place, and now Disney has brought all of those properties in and can legally use those properties in films. But you know, you've got the Wesley Snipes Blade character, you've got the Jennifer Garner Elektra character, you've got all of these characters, and it's like when I was a kid and I went to a garage sale with my mother. I must have been 7, I don't know, I was very young. And I went to a garage sale with my mom, and she bought me this box or this paper sack of toys. And it was, I don't know, she probably gave the people $3, but it's like there's a couple of He-Man in there, there's a couple of G.I. Joes, there's 1 or 2 Transformers. It was a grab bag of like, you know, I was 6 or 7 or 8 maybe. So, you know, we're talking late 80s here, not to age myself too much, but it was the toys that would have been like sort of available and sort of had been used in the preceding years. So circa 1989 or 1990, I get this bag full of fucking toys. And yeah, they're all from different properties and shit, but they're all in this one bag together. And I can just play with them, and I can have Transformers duking out with He-Man, and fucking I could have G.I. Joes slapping She-Ra on the ass and be like, nice tits, bitch, and shit like that. So the idea is that they figured out how to do that in a movie. They figured out how, like, oh yeah, 8-year-old Jason was playing with all these different toys, and it didn't matter that they were, you know, they came from different places or whatever. We just threw them all in, and it worked because it was fun. They figured out how they can extract more revenue from these versions of the characters that, honestly, as an audience member, I kind of figured they were just dead. They were just gone. They were done with them. They kind of dipped their foot in it with No Way Home. They figured out like, oh, hey, people are still kind of interested in these other versions of the characters. And so they're doing that in Deadpool and Wolverine, but like on steroids. The Void is this ideal sandbox for like this in movie, like diegetic recognition of this meta outside of the movie history of like Marvel properties, right? So it's cool. It allowed for some very satisfying small roles. I'm extremely grateful that I finally got to see Channing Tatum play Gambit. If you'd asked me 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, was I looking forward to a Gambit movie starring Channing Tatum? I'd have said, fuck no, motherfucker. But like, holy shit, like that was fucking great. That might have been one of the highlights of the movie, was like his accent was funny as fuck.
You nasty, mon pote, je les ai les bons temps relais, hein?
It's a bit random too, right? Like why Blade and Elektra and Gambit, but not like Ben Affleck's Daredevil or Nick Cage's Ghost Rider or something like that. It seems almost certain that, you know, they kind of took the people who said yes, like Wesley Snipes, Jennifer Garner, Channing Tatum. They all said yes, and you know, maybe some others said no, or just couldn't make it work with schedule or whatever. So anyway, that's the movie, right? Go see the movie because it's fun. It's not the best Deadpool movie. It's not as good as Deadpool 2. So it stinks, and so do you. Peace, motherfucker.
It stinks. It stinks. It stinks.